April 29, 2022. Two identically surnamed numbskulls were apparently in cahoots to stage one of the most brazen and fascinating jailbreaks ever. When jail official Vicky White backed her patrol car into that garage, it was no secret it would be her last time. Vicky was retiring at age 56 and working her last shift with coworkers on that Friday. She informed one of her subordinates that she wasn't feeling well and decided to leave work for the medical clinic. On the drive over to the dock, the 5'5" officer would be dropping off a 38-year-old, 6'9" freak of nature who was in the Alabama jail for allegedly ending a woman's life in a brutal and horrific fashion. Yet, out they walked, the convict trailing behind like an obedient toddler, clad in socks and shower shoes and unrestrained except for his handcuffs. In front, she opened the back door of her black sedan as he slid into the seat. She cast her last look at the lockup and drove away. What you witnessed was a gross violation of policy by an exemplary employee who was, herself, in charge of prisoner transport. There were clear rules for Casey, and he was to have 2 guards with him at all times. But her deviation was likely not challenged by those in her command and would not have raised a red flag by itself. However, things turned more shocking when it was revealed the prisoner never arrived for his appointment because it didn't exist. Then, her abandoned patrol car was found across town, and the duo were nowhere to be seen. A massive manhunt was now underway in Alabama for a felonious passenger and his shifty chauffeur. This is the jailer who jeopardized public safety for a personal romance. And this is absolutely criminal. On April 18th, Vicky White was apparently in a hurry to vacate her premises as she sold her home for less than half its market value. Authorities think she has a large amount of cash on hand, but she skipped town before scheduled talks to receive her pension. When they arrived at the pre-selected parking lot, police attest they ditched the conspicuous cruiser in favor of a copper-colored Ford Edge. Less than 10 minutes after leaving the jail, Casey Cole White disappeared with his presumed partner in crime. Vicky purchased the alleged getaway vehicle in Rogersville, about 25 miles from Lauderdale County. The night before her vanishing, she stashed the car at a shopping center.
Director White and Casey White left the detention center at 9:41 a.m. Director White instructed another corrections deputy to bring Casey White up, prepare him for transport. That's when they put the handcuffs and the shackles on him as customary and protocol. She informed the booking officer that she was the only available person that was certified to carry arms to transport, so she was going to bring him to the courthouse, drop him off to the other deputies, and then go to a medical appointment. So, that's why I'm sure that the booking officer didn't question it. She, after all, is her boss, and she coordinates all the transport. This is not the Vicky White we know by any stretch of the imagination. She has been an exemplary employee. I was told by the director of the jail that Friday night it was like you was at a funeral wake. The employees are just devastated that she was involved in this, and they're concerned for her, concerned for her safety. As are we, and we just hope that this has a good ending.
In December of 2015, Casey White broke into a home where his ex-girlfriend was and ordered 2 men there to the floor. He pierced the house's walls with bullets as 2 young children hid in the basement. He shot a dog dead in the hallway. but his prime target escaped with her life. That same night, Casey jacked a couple of cars at gunpoint, shooting one person in the arm, leading cops on a 100-mile-an-hour car chase that finally ended when the stolen ride got bogged down in a field. The boys in blue finally brought in their man, charging him with a rap sheet longer than the side effects list in a drug commercial. Attempted murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, first-degree robbery, first-degree burglary, third-degree burglary, breaking and entering a vehicle, animal cruelty, and attempting to elude. But right now, we're attempting to allude to maybe hitting thumbs up, subscribing to our channel, and ringing the bell to be notified of future episodes. After being sentenced to a total of 75 years in prison, he threatened to finish the job if he ever got out of the joint. At the time, it must have seemed like an empty threat, as Father Time would see to her long before he saw another free sunrise. That is, until this past April 29th. This wasn't the first time Mr. White cooked up a scheme to escape the pokey. In 2020, his request to be transferred from prison to county jail was denied after officers found a shank in his possession. They believed he was going to take a guard hostage and force them to enable his escape. But it was a letter he wrote later that year that would eventually get him to his destination. In June of 2020, the prisoner requested a meeting with the county and confessed to killing Connie Ridgway. The 59-year-old was murdered in her apartment in 2015.
The state is offering a big reward for anyone with information leading to an arrest in a cold case in Rogersville. Connie Ridgway was brutally murdered in 2015 at her home on Prince Street. So far, no one has been arrested. Governor Kay Ivey has now issued a proclamation which includes a $5,000 reward for information.
White says he was paid to kill her, although that's unsubstantiated. He pleaded not guilty on grounds of insanity and was transferred from his prison to Vicky's den of detention to face trial. Until his trial, he would be housed at the county jail just like he wanted. But while he was there, he made a motion for his own brand of continuance when he got into the back of that cruiser. Their unique romance began in 2020 when a younger Casey caught the eye of a 54-year-old jail employee at an arraignment. Then one night he came to her jail. You know how one thing leads to another. And they say the 6'9" hunk of outlaw had his initial tryst with Vicky. What we are imagining as a quickie in the chow hall was the earliest physical contact they had, according to Lauderdale County Sheriff Singleton. It's hard to keep a good rumor down, especially behind bars. Jail residents were beginning to talk, and they noticed that inmate White was getting special favors from CO White, including extra food. Despite finding each other, a White wedding now seems unlikely, as both individuals are fugitives from justice. They are being pursued by not only the FBI and ATF, but the U.S. Marshals, who are quite accustomed to getting their man. And the woman with him betrayed her fellow law enforcement community.
We have had a warrant issued for Director Vicky White. The charges are permitting or facilitating an escape in the first degree. That's Alabama Code 13A 2034. So there is an active warrant out for Miss White, obviously for Casey White. So we're in hopes that we'll get some much needed breaks here in the next few hours, few days, that will help us locate them and get them back here to Lauderdale County and get Casey White, especially behind bars. Casey White, as you've heard me say over and over, is an extremely dangerous person, and we need to get him located and get him off the street. So again, thank you for all your help in that.
You'd think Vicky White, of all people, would know how these things usually conclude, after all. This kind of thing has happened before. In June of 2015, Joyce Mitchell, a 53-year-old prison tailor shop employee, promised to pick up two men who had worked out an elaborate escape plan.
Joyce Mitchell had a relationship with both of the escaped killers, according to a source with knowledge of the investigation. She provided hacksaw blades to Richard Matt and David Sweat, as well as eyeglasses with lights on them and drill bits, purchases that occurred in just the last few months. That from two law enforcement sources.
She was to meet them outside prison walls with a getaway car, but she chickened out at the last minute. Convicted killers Richard Matt and David Sweat were on the run for 22 days. The largest manhunt in New York State police history ended with both men shot, one fatally. Joyce's plan, in addition to looking the other way at work, was to kill her husband, scoop up the prisoners, one of which she was boinking behind bars, and run away forever. She failed miserably. Joyce Mitchell pleaded guilty to first-degree promoting prison contraband and fourth-degree criminal facilitation. She was sentenced to 2 1/3 to 7 years in prison. The U.S. Marshal Service has offered $15,000 in reward for information leading to the arrest of the White couple, who are, as of recording, on the lam.
Really, all of this happened only hours after the escape when that vehicle was ditched in rural Tennessee. And so officials believe they left this area, and about 2 hours later is when a tow truck was called to actually pick up that abandoned Ford Edge out there, that orange one. We've seen it all over social media. Today, a visibly tired and frustrated sheriff kind of summarized this challenging search so far.
Behind where we'd like for it to be. We wish we had a lot more progress. It's been a week. I wish we'd had them back in custody within hours.